Hi, everyone. My name is Rajamma Krishnamurthy. Just checking. Um, just a check. Who's come the farthest? Anyone come from another state, another part of the country? Okay. All right. Pretty close. I'm coming from Redmond, Washington, which is the headquarters for Microsoft. And there I am the strategist for enterprise applications of AI. So I'm working on thinking about products that are going to be applied in the enterprise, more like B2E or business to employees. And when I'm not doing that, I also I'm teaching. I'm an adjunct professor at NYU. I do a master's course. I'm just going to spread this. I'm afraid I'm going to trip. I'm teaching a master's course in tech and AI. So this is very close to my heart. And when Joe said, "Would you like to join the panel?" I said, "I'll stay 3 more days in town in New York, and I will join the panel." So here I am. With that, I'm just going to set the stage for the panel. So I'm not going to go deeper on the bias and AI and ML, but we will talk about it more in the panel. So here we go. AI or ML bias, as we all know, is about making sure that any of our errors in judgment as human beings do not get reflected in our AI systems. And why not? Is because imagine today a recruiter or a hiring manager takes 6.5 seconds to go through a resume and say, women, no. Oh, somebody else from this college, no. Imagine an AI system that could go through that in 6.5 seconds. That could go through 10,000 such applications. So all you need is a bad algorithm or a pattern that you matched it with, and tomorrow you'll have a great deal of bias. No company would want to have their systems be advertised as being biased because they will never be able to sell to everybody, including women of color, or different ethnicities, or people of different marginal from various parts of the society. That said, there are different ways bias can be discussed. I've got 4 of them. I'm sure folks here can come up with another 6. But let me just go through this. Uh, Cognitive bias, basically, when humans' inputs of design choices or incorrect data causes incorrect judgments. So, for example, if somebody is looking at healthcare and looking at some nodules causing lung cancer, if you label some nodules as causing lung cancer, which it doesn't, or some other person is going to look at it differently and say, this is what will cause lung cancer. Again, you've labeled certain things incorrectly, and you are going to get biased outcomes because of that. Then you have confirmation bias, any pre-existing conditions and beliefs, ignoring data that is contradictory. So, for example, Amazon, everyone comes up with that. 2017, 2018, they had an algorithm that was ignoring all applications that he either had a name of a woman or anything to do with women, because they were hiring more male engineers at that point of time. So that's all it takes. Exclusion bias, when critical data is missing or underrepresented. 2019, I think, healthcare. There was a study done, and the study's outcome was that for intervention in care for Black people, Black men specifically, you have to wait until they are more sick. And the only reason is because the data that they actually pulled in to measure where intervention needs to happen was all white men, because Black people at that point, most of them did not have access to good health care. So you just see how having the wrong data, having the wrong algorithm, matching with what is happening in the patterns could cause you to kind of get into the whole bias. I don't even need to go into the algorithmic bias. It happens when you have bad code. Mitigation of bias. Um, I'm not going to drain this, I promise you. Basically, at the end of the day, you need to have the right data, as I've already talked about. You need to have the right testing as you test for the data. You need to make sure that you have all kinds of different representation of your data, edge cases included. You need to be able to explain to somebody who is using your system that this is what the intended uses for, so that they know as they're interacting with it, so that they can give you feedback, so that you can actually take that and measure it and make sure that you, if there are any errors in judgment in any and all of what I said, you can correct it. Auditing, like every good system, we need to have to make sure that continuous auditing of when you add more data to it, when you have more examples of people using that information, or the AI system, you see some things are not working. All of that logic needs to be audited all the time. Excuse me. And then, of course, when it comes to very important decisions, always have human in the loop. I don't know how many of you will feel comfortable when an AI system will declare that you've got cancer or you've got some other health problem directly. It'll be good to have some other doctor or somebody else who's looking at the data and the suggestions that that AI is giving, to make sure that that intuition and the ethos that the human being brings is actually included in that decision making. And last but not the least, accountability. For the machines, there is accountability. For the people that create these machines and these systems, there is accountability. And last but not the least, this is the most important first order priority for any technology companies or governments that are allowing AI to be incorporated into our daily lives. I'm just going to stop here with, this is what Microsoft's AI principles look like. We have 6 principles. When I look at other companies, they are pretty much the same. If you look at the mitigations of AI and the principles, they're kind of matching. Be fair, make sure that you include everybody. Make sure that it's reliable and safe. How many of you would like to say, oh, I'd like to get in a self-driving car that has been tested for reliability and safety? Privacy and security. This hasn't left our shores. We've got to always make sure that our data, your data, is always secure. If your private data, make sure that it's not published on the internet tomorrow. And then, of course, inclusiveness. All kinds of people that need to interact with the AI application need to be able to do that. I'll give you an example, and this happened to me personally. I was in a line for, I won't name the airline, where now they have started doing facial recognition and letting you inside the plane. There was a person, about a couple of shades darker than I am. They were standing in front of me. It took them 5 minutes. They moved this person from left to right, from light to less light, from darkness to light. That couldn't read her face. It was embarrassing for her. We could all see her discomfort. And all it would have taken was that kind of skin tone be tested against that facial recognition. And later then I went and spoke with this person, and got a first-hand. As a product developer, these are great examples for me what not to do. So this was fantastic that way, but it wasn't fantastic for that person. And of course, transparency. Be clear about what your application does. Be clear how it does it. Even if your application is all about recommending jobs, just tell the person that we are using AI and we are recommending jobs based on your experience or your college degree or whatever else. So having the transparency helps anyone have trust with the application, that is, so that they can use it. And then, of course, accountability, we covered that earlier. That's all I have. Looking forward to the panel. Before that, I got to hand it over to Joe.